Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you're watching, or good evening. Welcome along to ISRL Division 4. We are 2 hours away from the actual Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, but whilst we wait for that, might be a preview of the race to come itself. We are here in Jeddah for round 14 of the of ISRL's Division 4. You can see four tiers going along. 3 championships can be decided tonight or this afternoon, again depending on where you're watching. Division 4 is not one of them. They are for the 3 divisions that will be streamed later on this after the race itself. But perhaps a preview to see what we can expect from the following races with Division 4, and it is a division that's had a fair few dramas, a fair few surprises to say the least. But the championship leader Victor for Alpine leads by 22.5 points from Red Bull's Fallen Monkeys. But there is still plenty to play for, especially around this very tight, twisty street circuit, the second longest track on the Formula 1 calendar behind Spa. And as we know with street tracks, barriers are not too far away as well, so plenty to play for indeed in this 18-minute session. We're on board with Greenwell Army in the Williams, who is first to go on this track on the soft tyres. I think everybody at the moment is on the soft tyres, barring Maverick, who's going to have a try on the medium tyres. Of course, top 10 who qualify must start on the tyres that they qualify on. So perhaps mediums are the way to go. So let's watch then Greenwell Army begin their first flying lap. And they approach into turn 1. Feels very familiar to the turn 1 of Hanoi from last year, if you remember. Now through this tricky couple little twisty bits here, and you have to lift here because you can get a lot of understeer through this part. A bit hesitant, but that's the nature of that corner. I like the fact it's not a flat out number of corners, because it really tests confidence and abilities. Now through the first part of this little slalom, if you like, before we get to a very tight right-hander and a very tricky little curb. Now we've got the second part of this slalom, if you like to call it. We've had a moment for someone that looks like a Haas, but I think all is okay. 27 corners on this track as well. That's the most corners of any track. That includes Singapore. I think that might just be a Haas getting out of the way of drivers on their hot laps. And now Greenwell through the final corner. Sinful, who joined recently, just retired from the session. So here's the first time then. Line comes up very later on. It's a 1:30.3 set for the first lap, which the championship leader Demaniak does a 1:29.9. Victor similar, but 4/100ths back from there, as Scarlo returns with a 1:28.5. Scarlo, I believe, was he absent from the Japanese Grand Prix? I could be completely wrong with that. We shall see. And here's Michael Fures, third in the championship. I think down 48 points behind the championship leader, going for a run on the medium tyres. Maverick and his sister Aston Martin on the mediums has done a 1:32.9. So a couple of seconds back from there. Westy's done a 1:36 to go into the top 5. Mike Oxong in 6th for Mercedes. So Michael Fures then coming through into the final 180-degree corner. It's a run down to the line for the Aston Martin. What's their first lap time going to be? The answer is a 1:31.8, so quite a fair bit back, to be honest. This is Goran Potner it for AlphaTauri, coming through the 12% banked corner. Apologies, I don't know exactly what corner numbers each are. Mainly because there's a lot of them. So 27 corners is a lot to learn. So let's see how Goran's lap is looking like. Keep as close to the barrier as you want. And looks very neat and tidy so far. Now it's a run down in this DRS zone. Before you hit the brakes, turn the car in nicely. And again, very, very smooth there. Let's see where Goran can put that. AlphaTauri goes 7th first. This was 1:30.6. We haven't met, but I haven't really emphasised the phenomenal lap by Scarlo. It's a full second clear of the rest of the field at the moment. So incredible lap there from the Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo 1 and 3 at the moment. Here is Fallen Monkeys then, about to set their first lap time. We've already seen in Formula 1 a Red Bull hitting the barrier. Let's hope that Fallen Monkeys doesn't have the same luck. It goes into the top 4 for 1:30 flat, so second and a half from the fastest lap. And Philip Marshall has got front wing damage already before on their out lap. Saw their end plate was missing from the Haas car. Victor into the pits, 1:29.6. So a lot of work to do if they want to take pole position. Back out comes Greenwell Army for another lap. Not many cars on the track at the moment. There's 2 at the moment, but we are seeing a couple coming out. One of which is an Alpine, and that looks like ISRL Hartmann, who is yet to settle up. And an Aston Martin is coming out, and that is Maverick, who is now, after one lap on the medium tyres, going to try the soft compound tyres. And the 2 Mercedes are also coming out, I believe. That looks like the 2 Mercedes. That's Wild Dog and Mike Oxong in the top 10. I wonder if they're going to try the tow. How effective will that be? They're all coming out now, it seems. Who should we keep an eye on? We're all a fair bit back from starting their final lap. I think Fallen Monkeys is on a cool down lap. So Scarlo then, provisional pole for the time being by a long margin. We will see if he can extend a significant advantage at the front. So we wait then for the Alfa Romeo to come through turn 27 and to begin their first hot lap, powering down the back straight. Got to pick your braking points super nicely here. Take as much curb as you can without invalidating. The curb, you can gain a lot of time through there. Stick it as close to the barrier as you can. Drop from 7th to 4th gear through this left-hander. Pick up the throttle nicely. Got to make sure the car is super planted, which it looks like it is at the moment. It's a bit wide, and that's the danger. Invalidates through a fair bit of understeer. Let's see how Scarlo's teammate does then. Dominic in P3 at the moment. Dominic, of course, last week's race winner in Japan, falls to the same victim and invalidates as well. So, not good laps for the Alphas at the moment. Greenwell has invalidated. Victor is in the pits. It is interestingly, here's Mike Oxong. Wild Dog's still behind, but looks like they're harvesting electrical energy, the ERS. And I wonder if either they're practicing the tow here, and Wild Dog has been very kind to Oxong, giving it up. Or whether Wild Dog has made a mistake. I think, judging by how close they were, I would venture to say there was the tow. There's Greenwell Army getting out of the way. So let's watch then. What's the lap time going to be? The answer is it's not going to be a time, because Mike Oxong is back into the pits. ISRL Hartman then. They're close to the back of an Aston Martin, must be said, on this run. And surely might, well, invalidate, so it doesn't matter. Maverick has done the same. Michael Flores moves into 5th fastest. Scarlo trying again. I think did improve in that first sector as well. We have just under 7 minutes to go, sorry. And not too bad. And, well, goes too wide there. Improved by a 10th. But sadly, won't be improving on that lap time. Dominic going slightly quicker in the first sector. We'll see what this middle sector is looking like. Whether they can raise the Alfa Romeo onto the front row. As Victor and Fallen Monkeys are back out on track. Dominic has improved significantly, goes 2 tenths quicker. It's going a little wide, but doesn't manage to invalidate like his teammate. Now down the back straight, or one of the DRS zones, sorry. And now coming through. And Demoniac, has damaged their front wing. I was about to say came into the pits, but clearly not happy with that lap, despite the fact going significantly quicker. Lap 14, starting their first lap, a 1:34.5 on the medium tyres. So they don't want to be going, may not be wanting to start on the soft tyres. Right then, let's watch the championship leader. 1.1, just under 1.1 seconds they need to find to snatch pole position. That Victor currently on the front row. Short shifts there into third gear. Again, you have to have a little bit of hesitation. You've got to hesitate through these corners as well. You've got to lift as well in order to get through that sequence of corners. Improves just a slight little bit, almost matching the first sector. And again, see, hesitation as it's to pick up the throttle. Car just wants to understeer off the track. And neat and tidy run through this little left and right combination. Pretty much the equivalent of a straight, more or less. Victor improves again slightly. Unless Victor can find a stonking middle final sector. I don't think this will threaten Scarlo's pole position at the moment. We will see. Goran's gone third fastest in the AlphaTauri meanwhile. So not too far away. Victor then, as mentioned, will be difficult to take pole position. And is a 1:29.6, improves by 3/1000ths. Fallen Monkeys, what about their lap time? They're currently 5th fastest at the moment. Moves up into 4th fastest. Not a bad lap there either. Wild Dog then in 10th at the moment. About to begin their run and, well, gets run it runs into his teammate of Mike Oxong there. And also, I think, is caught in the way of Scarlo there. Was that Scarlo coming through? Yes, it was. So, chain reaction there. The two Mercedes running into each other. And then and then Scarlo getting caught up as well. So, I think the Mercedes duo might be in trouble for that. But Wild Dog's lap at the moment, invalidated. They won't be improving. Meanwhile, Maverick has gone 2 tenths quicker. But there's a Mercedes behind. They all on flyers at the moment. I think Scarlo's still going for their lap. Yeah, that's not Scarlo, I don't think. As Hartmann has spun. It's got to be careful because there's the AlphaTauri. Just about gets in front. Now there's a Haas coming as well. As Wild Dog in that, as also, whilst we've been away, has lost the front wing. So, not going so well so far. We've got a minute and a half left. So, Scarlo going to try again. Scarlo looks very comfortable out in front. Greenwell improves. I think that will be their last run because I don't think they'll make it back. Fallen Monkeys is definitely done. And will finish 5th at best. Dominic has invalidated, but they're going to go again. And Hartmann has been disqualified for being in the wrong way. And that will drop them straight down into last place. It's not what you want to see from the Alpine. Don't think they did it intentionally. I think that's just the game that might have caught them out there. But we will watch with interest. We'll keep an eye on Scarlo. Scarlo will be the first to come through. And has improved 2 tenths down, 2 tenths up in the middle sector. Victor's in the pits, as is Goran. So at the moment, Scarlo is on for a very dominant pole position. ISRL Scarlo then coming down the back straight. It's a 1:28.5, 1.1 second advantage. Adds almost 2 tenths onto that to take a very dominant pole position. Can anyone challenge that? The answer is I don't think so. Greenwell Army is going to pit. Dominic invalidates in 6th. Here comes Michael Fieres then to go into the top 4. Mike Oxong invalidates. Maverick comes into the pits. And ladies and gentlemen, ISRL Scarlo, that's not a pole position. That's a mugging as far as I'm concerned. That's 16 drivers. Scarlo is just mugged off there by 1.3 seconds, clear of the entire field. That is absolutely phenomenal from the Alfa Romeo there. Victor P2, they'll be happy with that. Ahead of their championship rival. 1.2 seconds, I'll correct it, but I think even still, that's pure domination from the Alfa Romeo. Goran as well, good job from them to go P3. Fallen Monkeys down in 6th place. Need to do a bit of work to catch up to Victor. We saw Hartmann getting disqualified for being the wrong way. We'll start at the back of the grid. We saw Whitson and Sinful join late. And they will start 15th and 16th respectively. But what will happen with those two Mercedes? We saw those two get in the way of each other, but will Scarlo be unimpressed with that as well? We shall see. But what was mentioned in qualifying yesterday for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was how important qualifying was, because we think, or if the F2 race anything to go by. Overtaking will be difficult here. So, drivers might have to get a bit creative here. Or try and force others into errors and capitalise off them. So this will be a race of attrition, I think, but they need an answer to Scarlo here, because Scarlo seems absolutely all over it. ISRL Hartman unimpressed at of the decision to vote for this track. My opinion, you have to take it on the chin and roll with it. Don't see that's the way Formula 1 should be. Doesn't matter what track you race on, you got to be ready for it. And Whitson having problems with their alarm. My advice is to get an alarm clock. Might help with that. So we got 7 seconds left then for drivers to finalise their strategies as we race under the light lit sky of Saudi Arabia. Racing here for the first time, to be honest, in very controversial circumstances. Of course, with the country's human rights. Huge level of controversy racing here, but here we are. So then, let's see what tyres they're all starting on. As you can see, top 10 all qualified on the medium tyres. And then we've got Maverick, Luck 14 and Sinful on medium tyres. The rest are going for the soft compound tyres. It's interesting this, because we saw in Formula 1 IRL that the softer tyres didn't grip up as well, whereas the harder tyres seem to be much better. Of course, F1 2021 doesn't follow those same procedures, but it'll be interesting to see there. So Scarlo will lead them along this very lengthy track to get all of the temperature they can into this. It's a bit more difficult on this track to get tyre temperature because of the cooler conditions. Now we're racing at night. It's not like Singapore, for example, where it's incredibly humid. Saudi Arabia is different in that regard. So Scarlo then going for a fairly quick formation lap. Top three within each other, but Michael Furious, you can see the gap. A long way away. Scarlo's making their way into turn 27. Furious is about halfway down the straight, so Scarlo's going to be waiting for a very long time. And that will take temperature out of their tyres for good measure. You can see there in the background, Furious just coming through turn 27. With Scarlo making their way to position number 1, along with Victor and Goran, the top 3. There you can see the others coming into their grid positions as well. You can see Hartman and Sinful, last two to make their way onto the grid. They will slot into position, and I think once that happens, which they look like they have, we should be, they are now, we should be ready to go for the very first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for ISRL. Not too far away from the actual Grand Prix. And we've got 5 lights very quickly there. And we are underway, and that's a phenomenal start there by Victor. Scarlo caught napping there, and I wonder if they got caught out. There's Goran and Michael Furious. The 3 go together, and Michael Furious and Goran have been collected as a result of that. 3 into 1 clearly doesn't go, and those 2 lose out. But what a start then by Victor, followed by Westy in the AlphaTauri, who goes a little bit wide as well. And Wild Dog immediately out of this session. Looks like a DNF, a potential crash as well. And we've got a virtual safety car already. We didn't know where to look there, But the big losers then, Dominic also being caught out as well. Not sure what happened to the Alfa Romeo. They dropped down, and Goran is missing a front wing, and they're a long way from home. They'll be very happy a virtual safety car is out, but Wild Dog immediately out of this race. Now as Michael Fura's got damage, doesn't look like it. We are back underway. Victor having a phenomenal lead at the moment, already 2 seconds up then. As there is Mike Oxong challenging Fallen Monkeys then. Fallen Monkeys falling back a little bit and goes wide, and Mike Oxong says, thank you very much, I will take that. And now here comes Maverick, who is going to take advantage of that as well. Fallen Monkeys down, what, 1, 2, maybe even 3 positions, because there is ISRL Hartman going down the inside as well, and there is Sprink having a look as well on lap 14, and Fallen Monkeys going right down the order at the moment, really struggling, and that might be why Fallen Monkeys into the pits already and gets a 5-second time penalty. Now, have they got damage? I would presume so, but Victor leads this race by 1.4 seconds from RPM Westy, who is under pressure from Greenwell Army. Mike Oxong now moves up to 5th, ahead of Maverick, Hartman, Spring, Whitson up into 9th place as well. Late joiner. We've got Goran in there as well. Both Red Bulls have pitted as well. So double disaster for the Austrian manufacturer. And Victor's had a pretty good start. Scala has decided they want to try and take back the lead of this race, but Scarlo has lost it on the curve, and off goes an end plate of the front wing. They will have to pit as well. Scarlo pushing a little bit too much, and as a result of that, they will pit. They're a long way back as well, and they're going to lose so much time. That's hugely beneficial for Victor then. Westy struggling on exit there. Greenwell didn't have a much better one. But with DRS, here comes the Williams, hits the wall, so did and also hits the AlphaTauri as well. Scala has left the session as well. I think that might have been slightly intentional there, but they do pit. Victor sets the fastest lap of this race. Westy has maintained what is now 2nd place on Greenwell Army. Now the DRS is enabled. A lot going on already. There is ISRL Hartman behind Sprink and Maverick at the moment. Maverick on medium tyres, let's not forget. Greenwell RV, I think, is under pressure here and has lost out to Mike Oxong now. Has Greenwell made a mistake? I think so, because there is Maverick. Maverick will be next to get past as well, or thought was. And Greenwell's decided to glitch there, so not quite sure what's happened. Mike Oxong is now right behind the AlphaTauri of Westy. Dominic has got ahead of Lock 11 and up into the top 10. Meanwhile, and there is ISRL Hartman, who comes back onto the track. And Mike Oxong has dispatched of Westy and up into 2nd place. The Mercedes really moving up at the moment. Meanwhile, Greenwell Army is really struggling at the moment. There goes Maverick. Sprink hits the barrier but gets ahead. Hartman, I think, has hit the barrier trying to avoid them. And now here comes the Alpine ahead of the Williams. Whitson, their teammate, will be the next one, and I think already is going for it here. As Westy does pit. Now Westy, I think, might have damage. And look at this. And there is Michael Fures diving up down the inside. Broke late, but made it stick. That's a good move there by Michael Fures. I thought that move was, well, I'd say fail, but I think they were being a bit too optimistic. But Fures timing the braking absolutely perfectly there. And moves up into 6th place at the moment, as Dominic gets ahead of Greenwell Army, who is really struggling at the moment. Westy has got a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Hartman's got a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Big move. I think one to watch here is Maverick. Maverick is on medium tyres. The longer he can keep these soft runners behind, the better. Domenic is still duelling away with Greenwell Army. So, Maverick then. Well, we're watching one Aston Martin. Let's watch the second one here, because Michael Fures is lining up a pass here on ISRL Hartman. And he's going to go down the inside. We've seen late on the brakes, but on this occasion, just a little too far back, it seems. Whitson might be there to capitalise. He's getting closer and closer. Fures this time will have the move on ISRL Hartman, and does so, and up into 5th place, but a little slow on the exit of turn 1 and 2 there. Hartman for 1 minute I thought was going to come back. Whitson just patiently waiting to have a look at the Alpine. Greenwell Army finally pits then for medium tyres. I think Whitson's lost a little bit of time. Fures has got a 3-second time penalty. The two Hasses are duelling away as well. Now Michael Fures has got their teammate to contend with. How will this work? Maverick is within the slipstream and second of Sprink. Sprink doing a pretty good job as well. Meanwhile, the gap out in front for Victor is 7.3 seconds. We're only on lap 3 already. Maverick then. We're going to have DRS on this occasion. They will now. He saw the DRS zone. And Maverick is closing on the Ferrari. Mercedes power against Ferrari power. Sprink defends the inside line, but compromises their exit on turn 27 because of the acute angle. And this time there is nothing here that Sprink can do. Maverick moves up, and look at this. This is Michael Fures. He's going to have a look as well. Maverick a little bit poised there, a little bit passive maybe, but sticks it round the outside and keeps head of Sprink there. And now it'll be Fures' turn to do exactly the same. But Hartman is right behind them as well. Fures cannot afford to put a foot out of line. Whitson has pitted, so presumably with damage as well. Sprink just slightly moves around, moves to the inside. Fures for one moment thought there was an opportunity there. That door closed very quickly. Sprink looking to repass very quickly. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2, and that is for Mike Oxong. And also there, ISRL Hartman has just spun as well. Both of them separate incidents on the track, but Oxong from second place. That's front wing damage. Hartman will surely have damage as well, and I think they have. So that moves Maverick into second place. Aston Martin looking very strong at the moment, second and fourth. But Sprink is having a look at Maverick. Maverick defends here, but not much there. That can be done. Maverick's going to try and hold it, but Sprink reclaims that place. And now Michael Fures will try and look to take advantage. We're going to have three wide here. One Aston Martin on the left, one Aston Martin on the right. Split between a Ferrari. And one doesn't get through. The other one isn't going to either. Is Fures going to be able to hold it? Sprink will have the inside line. And they do touch there. And I think, I didn't see exactly who it was, but Sprink has spun. Fures will take second place. Maybe not in the circumstances they wanted to. And that is, that's not good for Sprink. Sprink, I think that was tyre to tyre. So they're okay, but down in fifth place now. Domeniak is after Maverick. A lot of drama already. We're only on lap 7. of 25, and Victor's lead at the moment is 11.8 seconds out in front. Victor's having a beautiful time at the moment, especially with Fallen Monkeys down in 10th. Here comes Demoniac on Maverick. Runs out of straight there, but this one will have DRS on it. That's a much better exit for the Alfa Romeo. And look at it, you can see the closing speed as well. And Demoniac moves into the podium places. Maverick runs out of them. But keep your eye on Maverick later on. Meanwhile, the two Hasses are dueling away. I think Philip Marshall is disconnected. The two Hasses currently occupying 6th and 7th in this race. There is Goran, who makes a pass on Whitson for 11th place on their recovery. There's the two Hasses still dueling away with each other. We'll keep them preoccupied for a little bit. And Dominiac's next target then will be the second Aston Martin of Fures. 1.8 seconds down the road. Fallen Monkeys has got ahead of Scarlo for 9th place. Scarlo, I think, has still left the session as well after his contact. Get the feeling Scarlo might have intentionally left there, but we'll see. Could see, or if it isn't, it was a bit it was a bit of a coincidence. Scarlo left as soon as he damaged the car, but I think Scarlo has had internet issues before. We'll see. And Mavericks is out of this race. And there is, well, that's a safety car immediately, rightly so. Maverick, who did such a good job, is out of this race, and that will not be the what Victor wants to see, because that 12-second gap will dissipate. It should, however, mean that Victor does get a pit stop here. And Victor, sensibly, and I think rightly so, chooses to make that pit stop. Let's see what tyre Victor does go on. And that looks like medium tyres. Also pitting Michael Fures then. But interestingly, Demoniac has stayed out. Fures hard tyres go on to the Aston Martin. Sprint pits then as well. Cars are coming in. Cars who are on the soft tyres are coming in. Medium tyres go on. Hard tyres going on for Philip Marshall, so it looks like a real different choice of strategies here between medium or hard tyres. Westy, I think they had a penalty on go to medium tyres. That will cost them. Hard tyres that were on Mike Oxong's car. That's kind of an unfortunate safety car for them. They had to pit already. On go the medium tyres. I'd say that Williams there was quite slow away. But why did Demoniac not pit then? That's an interesting call. But soft tyres then. Demoniac will have to make a mandatory pit stop, but a bit surprised by that, I think. Because this is a very long track. And a fairly longish pit stop as well. I'm not quite sure what Demoniac's tyres will be looking like. So we'll have to see what happens. We are on lap 9 at the moment. We'll have to see what happens here. So just a reminder, Demoniac leads this race from Victor. Victor dominated really from the start, and Scarlo was absolutely all over them until they made an error that put them down the order. Luck 14 is up in a third place as well. They did start on the medium tyres as well, so they've got to make a pit stop as well. As Demoniac now chooses to pit, that is a very costly time to make a pit stop here. I think Demoniac might have recognised their mistake there. I'll go the medium tyres, but will drop right to the back of the field, as will Fallen Monkeys, who I think is now choosing to serve that 5-second time penalty. Wild Dog has left the session, retired right at the start of this race. Didn't see what happened to the Belgian driver. Whether it was a mistake or contact with another driver, we shall see. Maverick is also out of this race. Aston Martin is what caused the safety car in the first place. In comes Sinful in the second Red Bull. And comes back out on the medium tyres. So, interesting there. Most drivers on medium tyres, but we've got a couple on the hard tyres. So, can the mediums go to the end of this race? I presume they can. Majority should be. So let's see what will happen then. Goran technically has made a pit stop, but those tyres will need to do another 15 laps, so 22 laps on the medium tyres. Not quite sure what the tyre degradation is like on this track, so someone might be able to assist a little more with that. Sinful has got about half a lap to catch back up. I think Luck 14 has left the session. I think both Hasses have had issues. That's a shame for Luck 14, who's in the pits, but has to make a pit stop anyways. Whitson come in. Now, I'm not quite sure what's happening between Scarlo and Luck 14. Not quite sure what's going on between those two. Hartman pits as well for Alpine. Dropped to the back of the field as well. Sinful has managed to catch up to the back of the field, which is good. So we are waiting for the safety car to hopefully come in at the end of this lap. It's a pretty long safety car lap when you're at a much more reduced speed. Safety car, of course, will be going as quick as they can, which in F1 2021 standards is probably about 30 miles an hour. It is a fairly long lap, isn't it? They're only coming through the end of Sector 2. But the safety car should be in at the end of this lap. Don't see any reason why it shouldn't be. You can see drivers are weaving... Well, Victor is weaving around just to keep temperature in those medium tyres. They'll hope to bolt away at the restart. As mentioned, safety car is in at the end of this lap. So Victor will let the safety car peel away. It's got a fair bit of a way for that safety car to go. There it is. It's got to go a fairly long way. But once it goes into the pits, Victor will have the opportunity to go. Sprink has got a 5-second penalty. Greenwell's got a penalty. Victor has gone. No reason not to. Michael Flores can't overtake yet. Now they can. Can only overtake once you cross the pit line, the start-finish straight. And Flores immediately dispatches of Luck 14, who has left the session. We are back underway then for this race. And it's Victor who leads. We've already got a yellow flag. And it looks to be contact with that Whitson, who's had a moment, and Sinful. Potentially. Flores has got another 3-second time penalty. Westy has got ahead of Mike Oxong. Goran up into third place. Sprink surely will join them as well. And look at this, Mike Oxong and Wesley dueling. Westy went wide. And now Mike Oxong, under braking, will get ahead of the AlphaTauri and move up. There is Demoniac now on Westy. Fallen Monkeys, I think, has just got ahead of Scarlo for 10th place. Scarlo again has left. It's chaotic all over this place at the moment. Demoniac ahead of Westy for 8th place then. You can see Westy is all over the place at the moment. And Westy, Fallen Monkeys has taken the acute angle into that corner. And Greenwell couldn't capitalise on it, must be said. Should have been able to pounce, in my opinion, but Michael Fures keeping pace with Victor at the moment on those hard compound tyres. Greenwell Armies has passed Fallen Monkeys for 11th, and Westy as well, so he missed that, but that's been a fairly good tow. Westy in the pits with front wing damage. That moves Fallen Monkeys back into the top 10. Good start there for them. Furious's penalties, time penalties, might come back to bite them later on. No DRS, of course, until the third lap after a safety car restart. And Victor already pulling away. Mike Oxong has got ahead of Philip Marshall. We've lost Westy from this race. So deciding enough is enough, perhaps. Meanwhile, Goran is under pressure here from Sprink. Sprink had contact with Michael Fures earlier. Trying to get into the podium places. There's a bit of a nervy exit through. I don't know why I was about to say the turn number, because I don't know which one it is. But here's the closing speed of this Ferrari. Meanwhile, Demoniac has got ahead of Mike Oxong for 6th place. Sprink ran out of straight there. Demoniac now in the 5th place after passing Luck 14. Sprink not in a position to challenge the AlphaTauri on this occasion. Goran may take a wider line through the final corner, but that can help with car rotation. Oxong up in a 6th. Victor is now clear of DRS from Michael Fures. Gap 1.4. Greenwell Army has got ahead of Philip Marshall. Fallen Monkeys has got ahead of Hartman. For 8th and 10th respectively. Someone's had a massive lock-up there as Greenwell Army gets ahead of the disconnected Luck 14. Let's focus on this battle. DRS will be enabled. And can Sprink go down the inside here? The answer is yes, but Goran could just hook it round the outside. That's a super move there, and Sprink has lost it. Just a little too much throttle, and the back end couldn't live with it, and Sprink falls down the order. This time it wasn't due to another car. This time it was all on their own. No contact on this occasion. But that has cost a very good opportunity there for Sprink, and Goran can breathe a sigh of relief there. Meanwhile, Mike Oxong, after being passed by Demoniac, has decided that they fancy taking that 4th place back. That's exactly what Mike Oxong is looking to do. You can see the Mercedes closing in, but not just a little too far back to make a move. And now, down here, Demoniac gets a much better exit, I think. DRS won't make much of a difference. Comes in a bit too late, I think. Needs to come in a bit earlier, I think, to make a better impact. And Demoniac holds on to that 4th place. Can Oxong find a way through that Alfa Romeo? Greenwell Army, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Meanwhile, ISRL Hartman will find their way through Philip Marshall, quite literally in that occasion, as will Fallen Monkey 14 and up into 7th place. But Fallen Monkey's really on the back foot at the moment. 7th at the moment. Whilst their championship rival is leading this race by 2 seconds. One to keep an eye on will be Goran. Goran, of course, on 12-lap old tyres. Can they get those mediums to the end of this race? If they can, what state will they be in? We'll see. But 14 also needs to pit as well, but of course they're disconnected, so they can't really make that call. But they do have to make a mandatory pit stop. Coxon then does have the DRS. Won't make a move here. I get the feeling Hartmann will get a pass here, and the answer to that is absolutely, because Luck 14 does come into the pits. That's nerving there. Luck 14's AI pits on 15 laps. Worrying signs for Goran then. Dominic could find themselves in a pretty comfortable position if they can hold up Mike Oxong here. Could be a podium on the horizon. Michael Fures has still got another penalty, as has Mike Oxong as well. I think Michael Fures has got about 9 seconds worth of penalties. And the answer is yes, and that plays into the hands of the likes of Dominic and Mike Oxong. Because Michael Fures will drop massively down the order at the moment. Meanwhile, ISRL Hartmann is within a second of Fallen Monkeys for 7th place. And we have a yellow flag, and I think that might be for an Alpine, or was for an Alpine, and that would have been ISRL Hartmann. So a yellow flag temporarily through there. Now, I can't see from that aerial shot. Have they got damage? Not quite sure. We'll keep an eye on that. Philip Marshall has got ahead. I can't see from that aerial shot. It's a lovely shot. Problem is I can't see through it. I can't see if they've got damage or not. Sprinker's got ahead of Scarlo. There is Mike Oxong. Just checking the back end there of Dominic. Just reminding the Alfa Romeo that they're there. Not in a position to challenge just for the moment. ISRL Hartmann fights back against Philip Marshall's AI and reclaims that 8th place. Not quite sure if there was an issue there for Hartmann. If there was, we've missed it. We shall see. Oxong now is looking again. I thought that was going to be a move there, but can't really lunge up that corner. The nature of that corner doesn't allow it. But this looks like a much better. Oxong is really coming back here through the turbulent air of the Alfa Romeo. Oxong has lost time through the back straight. You can see the slipstream here. Oxong isn't even using the battery. That's just a natural tow you get from this. Now they'll have the DRS. Can Dominic hold off here? Mercedes gaining, and once again just runs out of road. Dominic doing doing a very good job of measuring that gap. But Mike Oxong will once again get the DRS. Will the Mercedes have a move? This one looks much closer than the previous one. Oxong goes for it. They do bang wheels there. Dominic fights that one through and still has 4th place. So Mike Oxong will need to gather their thoughts, collect themselves and try again. Got a yellow flag again. And what's that for? That is for Whitson, which we haven't seen much of in the Williams. Long way down the field, so former race winner having a particularly good time so far. Here's Fallen Monkeys. And I think Mike Oxong has had a moment somewhere, because that gap has gone up from within a second to now 1.5 seconds. So Mike Oxong has made another mistake, it seems. The gaps are pretty extensive between them. Whitson pits then onto soft tyres. That should go until the end of the race fairly comfortably. Meanwhile, not quite sure if Scarlo is in. I think Scarlo is not in this race. They left. There is an issue with the game at the moment. If you leave, you can't join. As into the pits then comes Michael Fures. Now this is interesting. Now why is Fures pitted then? And that is for a front wing. So Fures has damaged the front wing. That's not ideal. Fures drops down the order. Goran moves up into second. Dominic is on the podium. Fures' race goes from bad to worse really. Not only do they have 9 seconds worth of penalties, now they're down in 12th place. Or 11th, sorry, ahead of Scarlo. That moves Dominic into podium places. Here is Sprink, who's had two moments this race, recovering through. They're in. There is the Alpine of ISRL Hartmann. And we'll look for a pass here for 7th place, it seems. Sprink might not look for a move here. There's no DRS, but it'll be the next straight that they come to. This one has DRS on it. And you can see the closing speed here of Sprink, even before the DRS. This might be a fairly straightforward pass, and it is. And that's the equivalent of a heavyweight taken out of featherweight in boxing terms. Sprink up into 7th place. As meanwhile, while that happens, Sinful moves into the top 10 ahead of Philip Marshall, who is ghosted and not in this session. And whilst that's all happening, we missed this. Demaniak has closed within DRS range of Goran. Now, Goran, we mentioned, is on very old medium tyres. It's a question of whether they can get to the end, but this is the disadvantage. They're going to really struggle for grip here. 8 lap difference in tyre life between Goran and Domaniak. Hartmann 3-second time penalty. And this is where Goran could struggle here. Domaniak will wait here for this straight. One has the DRS. Goran doesn't have a great exit through there. Potentially lacking the tyre life here to fight. And Domaniak gets a fairly straightforward pass there and up into 2nd place. Good drive at the moment from Domaniak in the last few Grand Prix, it must be said. As mentioned, one in Japan last week, up in a 2nd this week. That is a hugely storming effort. Goran, however, is thinking of coming back, but eventually has to yield with not having enough space to go through. Goran will not be giving that one up. Michael Fures sets the fastest lap over down in 9th, so they will pick up points there, but Dominic, I think, may run out of laps to catch Victor, so it's a case of holding on to 2nd place for the time being. Goran is still right behind the Alfa Romeo, so Dominic will have to watch their rear mirrors. I was about to say rear wings. They can't really watch the rear wing, but it's the rear mirror they need to watch out for. Michael Fures on their recovery has got ISRL Hartmann to contend with. Fures is going to drop down due to penalties anyways, so it's about what they can do. Those 9 seconds worth of penalties I mentioned were going to be costly. They're going to be a lot more costly than when I said it. Michael Fures the back straight that matters. Here comes the Aston Martin then. Eventually we'll have to dance around the outside of the Alpine. Hartmann defends and keeps the place, but by taking the inside line, they've compromised their exit. Michael Fures says, thank you very much. You can defend the inside of turn 27 as much as you like. I'll just take the place off you down the next straight. Fures then up into 8th place at the moment. Meanwhile, Fallen Monkeys has got Greenwell Army to contend with. And Goran still sticking with Dominiak at the moment. Dominiak is struggling to pull away from the AlphaTauri, and that's good stuff from Goran. 8 lap older tyres. Still keeping tabs with the Alfa Romeo at the moment. Meanwhile, Victor comfortably 7 seconds out in front. Looking good for the championship leader to score big points at the moment. So here comes the AlphaTauri. They'll get close. But they won't get close enough. Now let's see how they go down this back straight. This was where Goran was quicker the first time round. Already pulling out to the left-hand side. You can see there, Dominiak's, the red flashing light there, harvesting energy there. And Goran almost practically shoving that Alfa Romeo through turn 1 and 2. Such was the speed of the AlphaTauri. Fallen Monkeys not able to get ahead of of Greenwell Army just yet. So we'll see if Fallen Monkeys can snatch another place. What they can snatch is another penalty, which is what I was going to say. It's not what they really want. They want the place, not the penalty. Michael Fures has now got Sprink ahead for 7th place potentially. We've got 3 laps to go. I've only just noticed how many laps are left. The gap at the front is actually closing massively as Fallen Monkeys has got ahead because I think Greenwell has spun. Someone spun. Said Green. That was weird. Okay, so I didn't just see it myself, did I? Someone see Greenwell Army spun as well. Wasn't just me. Not losing my mind just yet, right? Either way, Fallen Monkeys is in 6th. Michael Fures is in 8th. But they prefer 7th. Once again, they can't find a way through that back straight. Fures will go for this one. And Sprink doesn't defend this one because I think this one was fairly inevitable. Fures up into 7th place ahead of the Ferrari. Whether they'll be there after the next round of pits, by the end of it, with those time penalties is another concern. Greenwell Army has caught up to Mike Oxlong. That will hurt Fallen Monkeys' attempt to pass for 5th place because Greenwell will now get DRS off the Mercedes. Goran is still within a second of Dominiak. Dominiak is not able to pull away from this AlphaTauri. Gotta be careful here. Dominiak needs perfect laps now to ensure not only does they keep the AlphaTauri behind, but to ensure they don't get a penalty themselves. Because if Dominiak gets a penalty here, that 2nd place is gone. But Dominiak having a fairly few good corners at the moment. And doing just about enough to keep that AlphaTauri behind. Meanwhile, Victor has just started the final lap of this race. And it has been superbly controlled. Victor has led pretty much every lap of this race. Meanwhile, that was a very scary moment there between Greenwell Army and Mike Oxong. Greenwell up into 4th place, but that could have been an airplane crash with those two. But Greenwell Army up in the 4th place. There will be penalties to determine them at the end. Fallen Monkeys will try and do the same. Can Goran get ahead on this final run? They did just miss out on the DRS there. Demoniac doing just enough there. Oxong is dueling away with those two. And I think Demoniac is doing just enough to keep Goran behind here. Goran, I think their tyres are starting to die out here. It's down the back straight where they're losing time. Furious picks up another penalty. That's 12 seconds worth of penalties. They'll drop down the field. But one driver that's certainly not dropping down the field is Victor. They've led every lap very comfortably indeed. And the championship leader will have a very happy first time in Saudi Arabia. The first ISRL winner in Saudi Arabia is Victor. And the championship leader extends their lead. Demoniac takes P2. Goran, a podium finisher, in 3rd place. Greenwell Army drops to 5th place. Mike Oxong in 4th, ahead of Fallen Monkeys in 6th. Michael Flores will go, well, was in 7th, will drop down the order due to penalties. Sprink in 7th. Hartman takes 9th place. Michael Flores will finish in 9th. Sinful will finish in 10th. Scarlo 11th. Philip Marshall will finish 12th, ahead of Luck 14. And Whitson a long way down the field in 14th. Interestingly, no one got lapped that race, which is a testament, I think. But a very, very intriguing battle for a good number of people. Not for Victor. Victor just had a pretty nice time through that race. Victor took the lead from Scarlo at the start. Scarlo had a mistake of their own accord, and from there Victor never looked back really. Phenomenal effort from the Alpine driver, who extends their championship lead even further, with Fallen Monkeys down in 6th place and Michael Furious in 9th place, 8th place. Demoniac gets driver today. Worth mentioning to the Alfa Romeo driver, really coming into form as well, it must be said. Good effort there from them. Goran in 3rd as well. Good effort all weekend through, really. And that is the first round of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for ISRL. The others will come later on, because of course the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix starts in about 50 minutes. So all of the races will take place after this. Keep your eye on the other tiers. They are all fighting. Championships can be decided today. Victor wins the race for Tier 4, or Division 4, sorry. Demoniac P2, Goran P3, Oxon P4, Greenwell P5, Fallen Monkeys P6. Kind of disappointing weekend for them. Sprink P7, Furious P8, Hartman 9th, Scarlo 10th, Philip Marshall 11th, Simple 12th, Luck 14, 13th, Whitson right down the field. We lost Westy, Maverick and Wild Dog from this race, but that was a good race for the championship leader. It was all in dominant fashion. Furious did take the fastest lap as well, and will score additional points for that. But that is it for ISRL for the time being. As mentioned, we will be back late. Well, not we. As well, we. I don't know. Yeah, we. We is the right word here. Or the. Yeah, it's we. Even though I'm not the one commentating, it is someone else. But ISRL will be back after the Grand Prix, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, to see the 3 other title fights. I would highly recommend sticking around to watch that. 3 titles could be decided. But for here in Division 4, We will be back again next week. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. And we will see you again in 7 days' time. Take care.